Come along with me as I learn about the process of getting my first regionally accurate bunad from my ancestral hometown in Norway. If you've followed me for long, you know I've had a couple of versions, a general bunad, a festdrakt, but this year I decided to get the one from my actual hometown, and I learned so much in the process. I thought I knew the basics about bunads, but boy, did I have a lot to learn. Now, I knew that bunads adhered to certain regions, but I didn't realize how specific those regions could be and how much I had to choose from in my specific area.
Hardanger, there's also Vas Nord og Sør Hordaland. There's kind of a variety in this area. This one is Bergen og Fana.
So the first step was to decide which one I wanted for my region, and the staff really helped me look through all the different versions. Here they're showing me the winter and the summer version, which I could have picked from, and they were just so knowledgeable. I even found out that one of the people helping me is from my same little hometown.
So then they showed me all the different ones that they have in this, and what they pointed out to me is you can also see the beadwork here. These are some of the most expensive bunads because this beadwork is so hard to sew. And although I knew that these things are basically custom tailored, I didn't know how much you can customize them here. Do you see the different bodice patterns? What they were telling me, and they have the matching waistband and headbands for each set. You begin with which pattern you like, which design, and then you can actually swap out your own colors to make the exact look you want and have a bit more of a unique bunad, since you are going to have it uniform with others in that region. Let me show it. I picked this one. I liked the bright color. And like so many fashions around the world, the fashion alters depending on whether a girl is married or not. So the idea is that if you're unmarried, you have these belts with the beads, but when you're married, you get to have more expensive stuff, which is great for me. So I'll be able to show what these look like more later, but obviously some of these are those are brooch pins, but there are earrings, and they get bigger and bigger, and they vary by region as well. There's some Bergen Fana. This is Trønder. We have a lot of that because we are in Trønder. So they were just telling me too that this with the red vest is more traditionally what you see because it was sort of designed after Norway got their own king and queen in 1905. But traditionally before that, the reason you see these different brocade patterns that might not necessarily look like it should be paired with this is because all the sailors would come back from sea and just give their wives the most fancy material that they had. And the idea was just to wear the fanciest, most expensive textiles that you could, which is why sometimes it looks to the modern eye that it doesn't actually go together. And with that, it was time for me to pick out the fabric I wanted for my vest. And I have to say, I knew that these each adhered to a different region where you were from, but I had no idea how much there was to customize on each bunad. I knew to some extent that they were tailor-made for the individual, but I had no idea how many decisions there were to make and things to match with one another. It was a little bit overwhelming, but also fascinating to learn about. Here we are trying to decide what would look best with the bodice pattern and colors that I chose, what I thought would match most nicely with it. And honestly, like I said, I found it a lot of decisions to make when I walked in, somewhat thinking that they just tailor fit it through sewing to you. I didn't realize that one picked all these elements when I walked in that day. But it ended up being both an adventure and a journey, and I had a lot of fun with it at the end of the day. We eventually decided to go with this green, which I thought contrasted nicely with the bright red bodice and the primary colors in the beadwork. So anyway, after all that work, we're ready to get measuring. And boy, did we measure and measure and measure. They really make sure these things fit your body perfectly. It was amazing. One thing I learned the hard way through this process is that beginning this in late March, early April is already quite late because most people have ordered their confirmation bunads, which is when most people get these as a coming of age ceremony. And with all the customization that I did not realize went into this process, I was already late and they didn't know if they could get this ready for me Norway's Constitution Day. But they worked really hard and it's ready. Stay tuned for my fitting when it comes in and actual Constitution Day when I get to wear it.